For decades, Las Vegas has been a dream destination for Chinese tourists. The neon lights of the Strip, the thrill of the casinos, and the promise of luxury at an affordable price made Sin City one of the most exciting stops on any U.S. trip. In 2019 alone, nearly 300,000 Chinese tourists visited Las Vegas, spending big on hotels, shopping, and entertainment. But in 2025, something has changed. Today, those same tourists are starting to hesitate. Stories are spreading across Weibo and Douyin of $400 hotel nights that balloon into $550 after resort fees of buffets that now cost $99 per person and of cocktails priced at $25 each. For travelers used to Macau or Singapore, where pricing is more transparent, the endless junk fees of Las Vegas feel like a trap. Some even complain that Vegas is more expensive than New York, a shocking statement about a city once marketed as America's bargain playground. So what's driving this sudden doubt? Why are Chinese tourists, once among the Strip's biggest spenders, now questioning whether Las Vegas is worth the trip? And more importantly, what does this hesitation reveal about the future of Sin City itself? For years, Las Vegas cultivated a powerful image in China, a neon wonderland where tourists could experience the United States at its most dazzling. Chinese tour groups packed the Strip armed with shopping bags and cameras, spending freely in hotels, casinos, and luxury boutiques. In 2019, before the pandemic, Las Vegas welcomed nearly 300,000 Chinese visitors, a number so significant that airlines ran direct flights from Beijing and Shanghai to McCarran Airport. For the Strip's resorts, Chinese tourists weren't just visitors, they were VIPs. But the city they once embraced has become much more expensive. According to reports from the Las Vegas Convention and Visitors Authority, the average daily hotel rate in 2024 hit $198, with weekend prices climbing above $380. Add on mandatory resort fees of $40 to $60 per night, plus parking charges of $15 to $25, and the final bill can shock even seasoned travelers. For a Chinese family staying 3 nights, what began as a $600 hotel booking can easily become a $1,000 expense. Food, once a highlight of Vegas tourism, has also changed. The famous Strip buffets that used to charge under $20 are now luxury experiences. At Caesar's Palace, the Bacchanal buffet costs $79.99 per person, while upscale spreads at the Wynn approach $100. A family of 4 can spend nearly $400 on a single meal, an amount that rivals fine dining in Shanghai or Hong Kong. Even casual meals on the Strip can run $30 to $40 per person, leaving many Chinese tourists frustrated. Comparisons to Macau are unavoidable. In Macau, gaming odds remain straightforward, meals are relatively affordable, and pricing feels more transparent. Chinese tourists note that while Macau and Singapore may be glamorous, they don't bury customers in hidden fees the way Las Vegas does. Social media posts on Weibo often highlight receipts from Vegas hotels, warning fellow travelers about the real cost of Sin City. For a demographic that values prestige but also transparency, this shift feels like betrayal. What's striking is that visitor numbers from China have not rebounded to pre-pandemic levels. Analysts suggest that high costs combined with long flights and stricter visa processes are discouraging potential travelers. Instead, many are choosing closer destinations like Japan, Thailand, or Macau, places that offer luxury without the same financial shock. And so the question emerges, if Las Vegas once built its global reputation on attracting Chinese tourists, what happens when those very visitors start to doubt whether the city is worth the price? For many Chinese tourists, the disappointment with Las Vegas begins the moment they check into a hotel. They book a room online for $190 a night, only to discover at checkout that the bill has ballooned to $260 or more because of resort fees and taxes. These hidden charges, often $40 to $60 per night, are unfamiliar to travelers from China, where hotel pricing tends to be more straightforward. On Weibo, countless posts feature screenshots of these surprise bills with captions like, "This is robbery in daylight. Parking delivers another shock." In Macau, parking at casinos is typically free or discounted for gamblers. In Las Vegas, most major Strip resorts now charge $15 to $25 per day, For Chinese tourists renting a car for a week, this adds hundreds of dollars to the cost of a trip. One viral post on Douyin showed a tourist calculating his total expenses: hotel $600 fees, $200 parking, $140 before I even start gambling. Even the gaming floor feels different. Many visitors expect gambling to be the centerpiece of Vegas, but they are stunned to encounter Triple Zero Roulette, a version of the classic game that tilts the odds dramatically in favor of the house. In China's Macau, roulette tables usually stick to the traditional single or double zero. To Chinese gamblers, the Strip's innovation feels like a trick, with one blogger calling it legalized cheating in plain sight. Food, too, becomes a sore point. The once famous cheap buffets have disappeared. At the Wynn or Caesars, prices now reach $80–100 per person, shocking tourists accustomed to lavish but affordable spreads back home. For many Chinese travelers, buffets are an essential part of the Vegas experience, but paying $400 for a family meal makes them question whether the city is exploiting its reputation. Even casual dining can sting. A bowl of noodles on the Strip can cost more than a full dinner in Guangzhou. Entertainment only adds fuel to the fire. Show tickets for Cirque du Soleil or headline concerts often range from $150 to $250, with VIP packages climbing into the thousands. On Chinese travel forums, users compare these prices to Broadway in New York or West End in London, noting that Las Vegas is no longer the budget-friendly alternative it once was. The cumulative effect is devastating. Instead of being dazzled, many Chinese tourists leave feeling tricked. They compare receipts, post warnings online, and advise friends to consider other destinations. Some even claim that Las Vegas is more expensive than New York or Tokyo, a shocking reversal of the city's original marketing pitch. And as these stories spread across social media, one chilling thought emerges: are these just isolated complaints, or are they signs that Las Vegas has permanently priced itself out of the reach of ordinary Chinese tourists? Behind the glittering facade of the Las Vegas Strip, the most revealing perspectives often come from the people who see the impact of rising costs, up-close employees, tour guides, and the very Chinese tourists who once considered Sin City a must-visit destination. Their stories paint a sobering picture of a city drifting away from its reputation as a place of affordable fun. Hotel staff admit privately that Chinese tourists are some of the most surprised guests at checkout. They always ask why the final bill is 30 to 40% higher than what they booked, one front desk employee explained. We try to tell them it's resort fees, taxes, and parking, but they don't understand. Because this doesn't happen in Macau or Beijing. They think we're scamming them. The frustration often leads to tense exchanges, with some tourists vowing never to return. Chinese tourists themselves have been vocal about their disappointment. On Weibo, one traveler shared a photo of his $200 hotel bill for a 3-night stay, captioned, "I could have stayed at the Ritz-Carlton in Shanghai for less." On Douyin, a young couple filmed themselves leaving a buffet after realizing it would cost nearly $200 just for 2 people. Their video, captioned "Vegas is not for ordinary people anymore," racked up millions of views. Tour guides who specialize in Chinese visitors say the complaints have become louder in the last 2 years. "Vegas used to be the highlight of every West Coast tour," said one Mandarin-speaking guide. "Now many clients ask me to skip it. They prefer Los Angeles for shopping, San Francisco for culture, or even San Diego for beaches." Vegas is still glamorous, but it's no longer considered good value. Even casino workers notice the difference. Dealers say Chinese gamblers, once known for high-stakes play, are scaling back. "They used to sit at tables for hours," one dealer recalled. "Now they gamble less and complain more about the rules." Triple Zero Roulette shocked a lot of them. They say it feels unfair compared to Macau. Bartenders echo the sentiment, saying tips from international tourists have plummeted as drink prices climb higher. Locals who interact with Chinese tourists see a cultural disconnect. In China, hospitality is often about giving extra perks to big spenders. In Vegas, it's about squeezing as much as possible from every guest. "They feel insulted," one longtime Vegas resident explained. "They expect to be treated like VIPs, but instead, they feel like walking wallets." The most telling detail is how Chinese tourists themselves frame their experiences. They don't just complain about high prices, they describe feeling deceived. To them, it's not only about money, but about trust. And once trust is broken, it's hard to rebuild. If the Strip's own workers, tour guides, and international visitors are all sounding the alarm, then one question looms larger than ever if Las Vegas can't keep its most enthusiastic spenders happy. What secrets are still hidden that might drive even more of them away? When Chinese tourists complain about Las Vegas being too expensive, they aren't just exaggerating. The very practices that drive those complaints have already been dragged into American courtrooms, exposing the Strip's reliance on hidden fees and questionable tactics. What's shocking is how much of this remains buried from public view, even as lawsuits pile up and insiders leak damning details. The most notorious controversy is the battle over resort fees. For years, U.S. regulators have accused Strip hotels of using deceptive advertising by hiding mandatory charges until checkout. In 2023, lawsuits filed against giants like MGM and Caesars revealed internal documents showing how much these junk fees contribute to corporate profits. One memo even stated that resort fees accounted for nearly 25% of some properties' hotel revenue. For international tourists, especially Chinese travelers accustomed to transparent pricing in Macau, this feels like fraud. Post on Weibo echo the frustration. Vegas is not expensive because of luxury, it's expensive because of lies. Class action lawsuits from American tourists have already forced casinos to adjust how they advertise rates, but the fees haven't disappeared. Instead, they've grown larger, often exceeding $50 per night. For a Chinese family staying multiple nights, these fees alone can add hundreds of dollars. The lawsuits may have pulled back the curtain, but the show goes on. The controversies extend beyond hotel bills. In 2024, workers on the Strip filed lawsuits alleging that wage cuts and unfair scheduling were used to offset the billions spent on projects like the $2.3 billion Sphere and the Formula One Grand Prix. Chinese tour operators quietly admit that these projects, while flashy, make Vegas harder to sell to their clients. "We used to promote Las Vegas as a great value," one Beijing-based travel executive confessed. "Now when customers ask, we warn them about all the extra costs. Many choose Macau instead. Hidden financial reports add fuel to the fire." Corporate disclosures in 2024 revealed that for the first time, non-gaming revenue surpassed 50% of total Strip income. In plain terms, the Strip makes more money from restaurant shows and fees than from gambling. This marks a seismic shift in the city's business model. Executives brag to shareholders about maximizing revenue per guest, but to Chinese tourists, it feels like being milked at every turn. Even more concerning are whispers of broken partnerships. Several Chinese travel agencies that once signed package deals with Las Vegas resorts have quietly scaled back or canceled them. Industry insiders say high complaints from customers about hidden costs led agencies to push safer alternatives like Singapore or Japan. Losing these contracts could mean the Strip is not just alienating individual tourists, but entire networks that once funneled high-spending Chinese visitors into the city. What ties these threads together is secrecy. Many lawsuit settlements are sealed non-disclosure agreements. Gag employees and official reports downplay the extent of the backlash. The Strip keeps its most damaging truths hidden behind legal walls, leaving only fragments for the public to piece together. Yet, even those fragments paint a troubling picture, a city willing to risk its reputation for short-term profit. If lawsuits, canceled contracts, and leaked documents already show how fragile the Strip's relationship with Chinese tourists has become, then one chilling question remains: what other secrets are still buried that could finally break that relationship for good? The decline in Chinese tourism to Las Vegas is more than just a dip in numbers. It's a warning shot at the very foundations of Sin City's global appeal. In 2019, nearly 300,000 Chinese tourists visited Las Vegas, bringing with them some of the highest spending power on the Strip. By 2024, that figure had plummeted, with many travelers opting for destinations closer to home. Airlines that once ran direct flights from Beijing and Shanghai to Las Vegas quietly cut routes, citing lower demand. The result? is a dramatic shift. A city that once relied heavily on Chinese visitors is now scrambling to replace them. The consequences ripple far beyond hotels. Luxury retailers on the Strip, which once catered to Chinese shoppers eager to buy handbags, watches, and jewelry, report declining sales. Tour guides who built entire businesses around Mandarin-speaking clients now struggle to fill their groups. Even casinos feel the pinch. While Americans may complain about hidden fees, Chinese tourists traditionally gambled big. Their absence leaves high roller tables emptier, forcing casinos to rely more on middle-tier tourists from the US, and Europe groups less willing to absorb sky-high prices. Meanwhile, Macau is quietly benefiting. With no need for long-haul flights, no confusing resort fees, and a cultural familiarity that makes travel easier, Macau has reasserted itself as the top choice for Chinese gamblers. Singapore, too, has drawn tourists away with its transparent pricing and reputation for luxury without deception. For many Chinese travelers, the math is simple. Why fly 12 hours and pay hidden charges in Vegas when equally glamorous options sit in their backyard? Looking ahead, two possible futures emerge. The first is bleak. If the Strip continues to prioritize short-term profits, it risks solidifying its reputation as overpriced and untrustworthy. Chinese tourists may abandon Las Vegas altogether, leaving the city to depend solely on wealthy Americans and convention visitors. This might sustain corporate profits for a time, but history shows what happens when a city alienates its most lucrative market. Atlantic City collapsed when its reputation soured, and Vegas could face a similar fate on a global scale. The second future offers hope, but only if changes come quickly. If Strip corporations and Nevada lawmakers move toward pricing transparency, if they cut back on hidden fees and focus on rebuilding trust, Chinese tourists might return. Some travel agencies in Beijing suggest that demand still exists. People want to see Las Vegas, but only if the experience feels fair. Reforms could reopen direct flight routes, revive package deals, and restore the Strip's status as a global icon. In the end, the future hinges on one painful truth: reputation is easier to lose than to rebuild. And so the question remains, will Las Vegas adapt in time to win back Chinese tourists, or has Sin City already gambled away one of its most valuable relationships? Las Vegas was once a shining promise for Chinese tourists, a place where luxury, excitement, and affordability collided under the neon glow of the Strip. But what we see today is a very different story. From $400 hotel rooms that morph into $550 after fees, to $99 buffets and $25 cocktails, the city has transformed from a dream into a shock. For many Chinese travelers, the disappointment is not only about money, it's about trust. They expected glamour, but they discovered deception. The voices of workers, tour guides, and tourists themselves reveal a city at risk of losing one of its most important audiences. Macau and Singapore are waiting with open arms, offering familiar culture and transparent pricing. Meanwhile, Las Vegas seems determined to squeeze short-term profits while ignoring the long-term damage. That gamble may prove far riskier than anything played on a casino floor. And so, we're left with a haunting question: if Chinese tourists, the very visitors who once spent freely and helped define the Strip's international prestige, are now hesitating, then who will replace them? Because maybe the story of Las Vegas isn't just about expensive hotels or hidden fees. Maybe it's about the future of America's most famous city of illusions. If Sin City can't win back the trust of Chinese tourists, will the neon lights still shine as brightly, or are we witnessing the beginning of its global decline?